Welcome everybody to another episode of Meet Me in Napa. I am so happy and elated, and I don't know how many words I have more vocabulary to explain. I have special guests here, and I know I often do say special guests, but these people really are. They were so graceful to come sit on the couch today and talk to me. Miss Susan and Duane Hoff. How are you guys doing?
We're well, thank
Excellent.
you.
And if you guys do not know, a lot of people from the Valley will know, but if you don't know, they are the owners of Fantesca, a beautiful winery up in St. Helene,
Mountain,
right?
yeah.
Spring Mountain. And if you have not been there, it is one of the places that you have to go if you visit Napa Valley. I know there's a lot of popular names and places where people love to go, but Fantesca, not only is the wine excellent, but their property and the view and the site. And when I was up there last time, you told me there was an old 70s show that was filmed.
Yeah. So the place right next door was the external shots for a nighttime soap opera called Falcon Crest.
Falcon Crest, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're really aging ourselves. So that, but if you know Falcon Crest and remember that show, you can actually see where it was shot from their property. So it was a beautiful thing. So how are you guys doing today?
We're great.
You great?
It's harvest is in. You know, we're done bringing all the grapes in for 2025. It feels really good when everything's in the tank and we're ready to roll.
Okay. Before we start talking, let's get some glasses in our hand and let's cheers to a great interview. Okay?
Oh, I love
Awesome.
that.
Go.
Yeah, I'll give that some Mr. Hoff.
Thank you.
And what you brought the cab with this? Which one is this?
This is the Estate Cabernet. So
Okay.
this is the rare one.
This is the rare one. What year are we having?
You're going to have to look at it.
Okay.
I asked Andy to grab it.
Oh, so 2019.
It's perfect.
2019.
Cheers.
Yes, cheers. Cheers. That is good. That is good. All right. I don't want this to turn into a drinking show.
It's starting out that way.
With what you do,
cut
I
the
can
cameras. We'll
understand.
just finish the bottle. All right. So thank you guys for coming. We talked earlier, and I just wanted to first, when I met you guys, oftentimes I've been out here for about 5 or 6 years now, and I had people have a perception of what the Valley is like, or who the people in the Valley, or even owners of wineries, right? And when I met you guys were some of the most down to earth, like just, hugging and just smiling and just, inviting, people into your space. And it was so refreshing when I met you guys. And I was just like, oh, I gotta get them on the podcast. Like, I just want other people to be able to see you and lay eyes on you and know who you are, because how you guys made me feel.
Oh,
That's great. That's wonderful to hear.
Yeah.
It's really kind. We just really appreciate the fact that you came to visit us. And it was just a really fun little event that we had when you came. And I don't know what you had expected, but I remember when you left, you were like, oh my gosh, there's this beautiful little gem of a vineyard and a home and a winery.
Yeah.
And the cave, you were like, what is going on here?
Oh man, you got to see the cave. Yeah.
I think, for us, one of the things we really admired about Napa before we ever moved here, before we bought a winery, is that there's this attitude of abundance. There's this idea that it's about sharing the wine. It's about sharing the story. It's about great food. And it's really about that hospitality. And, one of the things I love about our business is that, when there were only 4 or 5 high-end wineries here, they realized that people, if they were going to make the trip to come up from San Francisco, they weren't going to go visit one winery and then go home.
Right.
And so they were invested in their neighbors' success. They were invested in the experience their neighbors would provide to people. And so that's really kind of one of the ethos of Napa, is that we want you to have a great time. We want you to relax. We want you to enjoy not just our wine, but our neighbors' wines as well.
I love that. Invested in our neighbor's success. That has literally been my experience. I've experienced that firsthand, just by living here, being in a small business here. And even doing the podcast, people are just more than excited to come along. They're not waiting for it to be like some nationally recognized thing. They're like, sure, why not? You know what I mean? So, yeah. So let's get into a little bit. Beautiful couple. And you know,
this is asparagus wrapped in bacon.
Yeah, I know. I just didn't want to put all the shine on her. Okay?
too.
And she just, she does it for herself, So I just tell people like that. It's like people, with my wife, I'm like, yeah, but you married up. I'm like, duh.
Yeah.
So, yes, but beautiful couple. But you guys have a storied history together, right? Been together for quite a long time. How many years have you been married or been together?
We've been married 37 years and just celebrated in April the 40th anniversary of our first kiss.
Oh, wow. And you told me the story of your first kiss when we were at the winery, and now you got to tell us again.
So we had her sorority and my fraternity were paired together for a charity event. Mm-hmm. And she was in the dance line and I was in the band. And so she had to come over to the house for about 3-4 weeks in a row to practice. So I could just wear her down. And I always joke alcohol's been good to me for a long time.
So she came over to practice for the first time and you were over there.
She did, and she was actually good friends with one of my best friend's brothers, and so we kind of had that connection.
Okay.
And so so we were just chatting, and just as these things happen, the more we talked, the more we realized we got along, and started dating from there.
I kind of feel like she didn't have a choice. She had like several more weeks she had to run into you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Every night we'd be dancing over at that house and he'd be singing, doing something, and just being Duane, like a little wild, actually more than a little wild. And it got to a point where I was just like, this guy, I just don't know. And you like literally wore me down.
I love the story that you complained about what an arrogant ass I was to your roommate. And then like 2 weeks later, you're dating me. And she's like, I thought you hated that guy.
Oh, my roommate was just like, what's going on? I go, I don't know. Don't ask me. It was just, he just kind of grew on me. It was one of those things.
They like the bad guys.
Yeah, thank God. Thank God.
Cheers to the bad guys.
Yeah,
exactly.
So, and you guys were in you were in Minnesota?
Yeah, we were in Minnesota, University of Minnesota.
University of Minnesota. And that's where were you both born and raised in Minnesota? Where are you from originally? That's both of you guys?
I'm originally from St. Paul, Minnesota, so down in the cities.
Okay.
And then when I met Duane, the University of Minnesota is part of what they call the Twin Cities campus. So it crosses Minneapolis and St. Paul. Okay. It's only divided by the river. And Duane came down from a very small town in northern Minnesota called Crookston. And you transferred.
Yeah, I actually was going to North Dakota State and then transferred down to University of Minnesota to finish up. And then that's where I met you. Yeah,
his junior year. The funny thing is when I was a freshman and we had this Campus Carney event where the fraternities and sororities were paired together, our house, an Alpha Gamma Delta, was paired with a different house than his that first year. And I remember because I graduated in advertising graphic design, so I did a lot of art, and so I didn't dance that first year. Instead, I actually helped build the set. And I remember seeing him perform on the set that was it 4 doors down or whatever from ours, and I was like, who is that blonde guy? And I'm like,
I used to be blonde.
I go, I haven't met him. This is really interesting. We'll have to see how next year goes. And I remember that as a freshman specifically, and that's when you were a junior, and I met you when you were a senior. So, we started dating.
Yeah.
At that
so
point.
You had a moment.
I did. I had a moment, and it's funny that I kind of look back at it now, and it was just like that we did, end up dating.
Okay.
And then ended up getting married.
So did you get married? You guys graduated, then got married?
Yes.
Okay.
He was sweet enough to wait until I graduated because I was the first person to graduate with a 4-year degree in my family. And it's a second generation, might even been third generation. So
it meant a lot. It meant a lot to finish that, and
It did because I was all about going to work. I wanted to have a career. I wanted to graduate. I wanted to set an example for my siblings. I was the oldest of 4. I am the oldest of 4.
Okay.
And that was kind of what we wanted to do. And so it was really sweet because I graduated, and then a week after that, he took time off of work, and we just kind of went out and did a few things before I started working full time. Because nowadays, I didn't take J term and I didn't take time off. It was like I went right into work. You kind of lined up your job ahead of time. And it was that Friday where he asked me to marry him. And I was just like, oh my gosh. It was like I just graduated and now I'm engaged and here we go.
Time to get you off the market.
You can't wait for it. He looked at you, was like, "No, she's not going to be on the market too long if I wait." No. Oh, that's cute. I love love stories. My parents, they were high school sweethearts.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they were high school sweethearts, and they've going on 50. I think they're going on 56 years, 55
awesome.
years.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love stories
I think next
like
year
that.
is 56 years. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is so great.
So they've been together for a long time.
You have to.
I told them, I always joke. I say, well, all my relationships will match up to your one.
It's nice to have somebody set the pace, you know?
Exactly.
So put that expectation in your wife's head. This is a long-term deal. You got to stick it out.
So you guys meet in high school. You are captured by her beauty, which she still holds today.
Oh,
and you were captured probably by his muscles and how good he can dance. And you guys get married after college. So what's next for you guys? How did the story massage from there, and where did it move from?
So when we started dating, she was working at this stereo shop that was originally called Sound of Music. Mm-hmm. And they had stereos, sheet music, and guitars. Mm-hmm. The company had decided that they were going to get rid of the sheet music and guitars and start carrying TVs and appliances, because that had become a new concept called a superstore on the East Coast. And they were going to give it a go in the Midwest.
Okay.
And so the name Sound of Music didn't fit anymore. So at Sound of Music, if something was on sale, they would put it inside of a yellow tag and call it a Best Buy.
Best Buy.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So that was the origins.
They took a lot of my money in my in my day.
I am sure they still are.
I'm dating this girl in college, and they didn't have any budget for any kind of graphic design. Uh-huh. So they had a design major. So they turned to their design major, who was a salesperson on the stereo floor, mm-hmm. and said, hey, you got a degree, or you're working on a degree in design. Would you help us with the logo? Mm-hmm. And
I did. I worked with the advertising department, and it was a gentleman named Duane Hoff, and I created the yellow tag that you see today with the Best Buy logo. And this is long before they had, graphic art. So we created that font,
right,
which today looks like Futura, that Apple has, and is very, very popular. But that was the kind of the main.
So Apple owe you some money?
I think there's a lot of people that are like,
we're willing to negotiate.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people that are like, oh, did you create the logo? And I go, well, I did, but nobody creates anything by themselves, right?
Correct.
You always have people that you're working with to make things wonderful.
She had the vision to realize how iconic that yellow tag was, mm-hmm. and how strong a brand element that was.
Wow. It was really important because it was something where when that yellow tag is just the yellow tag and there's no Best Buy in it, you know what it is. Mm-hmm. But it took time to earn that. That didn't happen overnight.
Wow.
That took years. Uh-huh. I started working for the company in 1983, right out of high school. And that's where I was working while I was going to college, because it was I really loved clothes and I liked to look good. So I needed that budget, right? Yeah. So I did both. And then after I graduated from college, I was going to go to an advertising agency. And someone sat me down and said, hey, you've worked here, what we're all about. We'd love you to stay and then work in at the time, it was just called communications.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, what do you want me to do? Can you start working on employee communications? And that, while I was there, the company started growing, obviously, and it was all hands on deck. I was one of the first employees. My employee number was actually 44. Wow. So it was a long, long time ago. And now there's thousands and thousands of employees.
It was funny as you tell me the story is that literally, so I grew up I was in Fairfield, and there's a Best Buy there at the Solano Mall. And in my 20s, I would work in the Christmas season. I used to go work at Old Navy sometimes, just for the holidays.
Yeah.
And then there was one of the years where I worked at Best Buy just for the holidays. When they would round up, because they knew it was going to get busy. And I actually worked there for the holidays once, and I was, just ripping and running, grabbing stuff out the back, appliances and different stuff. And it was hectic. It was under Christmas time was so hectic, because that's where everybody, outside of clothing stores and stuff, everybody was at Best Buy. buying up everything for the house and friends and
Well, they're
family.
waiting in
a little
line
chaotic.
out the door,
Yeah.
camping for that particular offer.
Exactly.
And that always started on Thanksgiving,
Yep.
right? And so Thanksgiving was always a very, very, I grew up in a retail family. So Thanksgiving was like the start of our big season.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because as we came to Napa Valley, the thing I absolutely loved about the wine business is that different from electronics, your competitors are not cutthroat. Your competitors are your neighbors here, and everybody wants everybody to be successful because no one comes to Napa to drink just one wine. And I absolutely kind of loved that difference from where I grew up. I worked at Best Buy for 30 years. And it was our job. I mean, we looked at it as like, we have to put that competitor out of business because we don't want them in our pocket. We want those customers to be at our place. So I really, just the change in the environment was just really lovely.
Yeah. More like, let the hair down.
Yeah.
Than just I
Exactly.
can get that.
Yeah.
So in this process of this journey, where did you, who was more the wine lover between the two?
Oh, we both were.
You both originally?
So, well,
Oh, that's a good story.
so we went to a alumni event at University of Minnesota, and one of the alumni is the White House correspondent Leslie Stahl.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Leslie Stahl now does 60 Minutes.
Yeah.
And they asked her, they said, you had this incredible career. You're talking to world leaders. How did you shift gears and go home and deal with your children? And Leslie Stahl had this wonderful advice. She said, that first hour you're home is so important. It has to be about your children. If you make it about you and you're an important professional person, they'll never tell you what's actually going on in their lives. And so Susan and I kind of took that to heart. And so we would get home, make sure the kids had the homework done. We would sit down to eat dinner together and just talk about their day. And we would really not talk about our day at all. And then we'd put the kids to bed, and then we'd open a bottle of wine, and then we'd have the debrief, because you're working at a startup.
Now was it as good as what you got now? Was it?
Oh, come on.
It was
No.
inexpensive. It was inexpensive Pinot Grigio, and it was delicious.
Yeah. So the 6 for 30 for $30.
Something like that.
$7.99 on sale.
Yeah, exactly. But it was kind of close to water, but it was just something where it was just this opportunity to just like you said, just kind of let your hair down and just go, okay. So what happened to you today? This is what happened to me today.
And wine was adult time. It was time for us to be able to connect and talk to each other. And one of the things that was interesting, just as a business person, going out to dinner with Sony and JVC and Panasonic and Pioneer, you had people that were into wine and also had they had an expense budget that they could go out and have some nice wine. And all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, this isn't what Uncle Bob brings to Thanksgiving. This is a completely different animal. And so you realize that there's some really special wines out there. And then we started to come out to visit Napa Valley. And, for me, growing up as a farm kid, you can still, Napa at its core is still a farming community.
Yeah.
But it's just incredible food, incredible wine, incredible care and detail in how it's made. So it really attracted us. And the other thing is you got a marketing person and a PR person sitting here. It's storytelling, and it's about sharing with people what how this wine was made, and really the story behind the people who made it, because those are the important things there.
Yeah. That's amazing. I would say for myself, growing up right next to Napa Valley, I mean, I knew this was wine world, but I didn't, I really wasn't into wine per se. I would drink it, but I wasn't into it until I moved here. And then and I always tell people that know me or who don't know me, I say my introduction to wine is not going to be most people's introduction to wine. Like people were opening up. My buddy who I work with, he was into wine because he's from here, and he was just opening up the best bottles. That was my first introduction. I'm drinking Opus, and I'm drinking. I was drinking you guys because he knew D-Lynn, and
sure.
So it was just all that stuff. So I'm just sitting, I'm like drinking the stuff, and I didn't even have the appreciation for it when I first started until several years in. Then I'm like, oh, okay, that was an amazing, that was an amazing intro, right?
Yeah.
So
that's one of the great things about people that love wine. They want to share it.
Yeah.
They want you to experience it.
Yeah.
They want, and so all of a sudden, if you show an interest, boy, it's the people will open their cellars to you.
Mm-hmm. So you guys both had early love of wine. So how did it become to where you guys, what was your first introduction to even wanting to come to Napa to eventually have a wine? Was it just like, hey, we're able to do it? Did somebody bring the opportunity to you? Like how did that relationship mature?
We would come and you'd go to some wineries and they would have lovely wine. And you'd go, so what's the name of your winery? And they'd be like, Green Creek Vineyards. And why is it called Green Creek Vineyards? Because it's right next to Green Creek. And what's that on your label? It's etching of Green Creek. It's like, okay, you got to give me a lot more to work with than that. You know, that doesn't really give you the soul of the wine. So Fantesca is, my last name is Hoff and Susan's maiden name was Schultz. And there's no combination of Hoff Schultz Winery or Schultz Hoff Winery that sounds like you're going to make good wine.
No.
Be a great name for a brewery.
Yeah.
You know,
Actually, I was about to say that sounds more like a beer name.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So we decided not to subject ourselves to that. And we were kind of casting around for what had been inspiring to us. And if you're in the retail business, you're going to spend several weeks a year in Las Vegas for conventions.
Consumer Electronics Show.
And
every January.
If you don't gamble, you know, you got to find something else to do. And so Susan and I would take our teams to this new thing that was happening in Las Vegas called Cirque du Soleil. And we really respected that it was beautifully done.
It was.
But it's also done with a little bit of sense of humor and a little nod and a little wink to it. And so one of the things that inspired Cirque du Soleil was this old Italian comedy called Commedia dell'arte. And there was a female character in those comedies. Scandalous, because in England and France, they wouldn't allow women on stage. The Italians had this beautiful woman that was part of the cast. No masks. You could see how pretty she was. And then to make her more controversial, they made her the smartest one in the play. And
that was controversy back then.
Yeah.
Very much so.
How far along we came. Huh?
Yeah. So one of the research things that we were looking at described her character as sexy, smart, and unpretentious. And so we said, okay, well, that's something to aspire to with the wine. So that's where the name came from. And so, yeah, our kind of past as storytellers, you know, telling those stories and sharing those stories with people. That's really kind of, we realized that would be our contribution. I can't make great wine. What I can do is I can empower a great winemaker and give her the tools that she needs to make great wine, and the resources to make great wine. But then our job is to do the storytelling. Yeah,
that's amazing. So who is the winemaker for you guys today, right now?
So right now, the winemaker is Tony Arcudi, who has 600-point scores for his Cap Shandy wines.
Okay.
And then the associate winemaker is a very talented, best intern we ever had, a young woman named Chelsea Gulper, whose maiden name is Hoff.
I knew that. I was waiting for you to get to
that.
But we're really proud of Chelsea because, you know, she's in her 30s now and she's paid her dues to kind of learn. And she's got a great mentor-mentee relationship with Tony. Tony really shares a lot of his expertise and blood, sweat, and tears with her and is helping make her a better winemaker.
So just, you know, out of curiosity, now just you say that, now I'm like thinking, you know, you guys come from the corporate building brands, building companies and different kind of things. How intense was your interview process to find your winemaker?
Well, you kind of have, it's kind of a twofold process. So when we bought the wine,
I'm sorry, real quick. What year did you start with the Fantesca? What year did you acquire the?
So Fantesca, we acquired the property that we have, but we named it Fantesca, but we acquired it in 2004.
Okay, so since 2004.
Yes.
Okay.
And we, when we purchased the winery, it didn't have everything it needed, but it did have winemakers that were a father-son team.
Okay.
So Niels and Kirk Van Gay.
So they were already there.
They were already there with the previous
exceptional winemakers.
brand.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Niels was the first American to ever get a 100-point score from Parker.
Okay.
And so we started with them as the winemaking team. And then we got introduced to Heidi Barrett. And we were fortunate enough to have Heidi join the team. And she did a great job of elevating the wines. And then as we started to add some new wines onto what we were doing, Tony and Chelsea were taking on these new wine projects, and it just became their passion and their energy and their excitement to contribute. It just became, obvious to us that it was time to pass the baton to them.
Okay.
But we felt really, really fortunate to be able to work with Heidi Barrett. She was often called the queen of cult Cabernet. And she just knows the valley like nobody's business. I mean, she's been here for a while. And just to learn from her, she was with us for 16 years of our almost 22 years now in the wine business. People will ask, they're like, well, how long have you been in the wine business? And I'm like, well, actually not very long. And they're like, well, how long? And they're probably thinking 2 or 4 years. And I'm like, well, 22 years. And they're like, well, that's kind of long.
Yeah.
And I go, but it really isn't.
Not when you really know the wine business. Yeah, and the people who are in it.
Yeah.
When you know this valley and the people that are in it and the multiple generations behind it.
Yes.
We're just
You're just
young.
getting started.
We're just the first generation of winemakers for Fantesca. And now the second generation, which is our daughter, we're so excited about it because not many wineries have that opportunity to be able to pass it along and have it become this legacy project. And we just feel so fortunate that when we moved to the valley, our daughter was just coming out of middle school into high school.
Okay.
And she loved it. She'd get up really early in the morning to go do Pinot punch downs with her dad in the winery and go talk to Heidi Barrett and make sure she was part of the harvest. And her big thing was to go to college and go to UC Davis.
She did the viticulture program?
Viticulture and enology. And she got in. She was there for 4 years. But while she was there for 4 years, she traveled the world making wine. And then after that, she traveled the world to make wine she was in Bordeaux making wine. She was one of the first American interns it was like 13 years over at Smooth-Haute Lafite.
Okay.
And then after that, she went down to Australia. And so because it's down under and you can make wine at 2 different places in a year. And then she came back and we actually had an intern that had backed out for our harvest worker. And so we're like, hey, you're back from Australia. So might as well jump in. And she's like, are you kidding me? I've only been home for 2 days. And I'm like, well, do you want the job or not? She jumped right in and took it on and was one of our harvest interns for a while. And then she went to work with other winemakers in Sonoma and Napa just to learn more about...
Thomas Rivers Brown, Jesse Katz. And so she's had a lot of really great examples and mentors.
Yeah, she's earned her stripes.
Can I ask you a question? So with the wine industry now, of course, everybody's saying there's a downturn. What are the effects that you guys have seen in the state of wine and where it is today? Not just with your brand, but just in general, because I know that you guys kind of have your finger on the pulse with the other, winery owners and different vineyards and stuff.
I think there's a couple of things that are almost there's a natural curve to this. And it's pretty obvious that, our generation was able to buy a house, was able to, have children younger, get into a house younger, and kind of move on to that stage of your life where, you've got a plan for how you're going to pay for your kids' college, and those things are kind of covered. And then there's discretionary income that opens up for the good things in life, like wine. And as those things have gotten harder, those milestones are delayed for people. And as they're delayed for people, it makes sense that they're going to delay when they can afford a really nice bottle of wine, but they still know and love wine. So, I think it's one of those things where it's an adjustment. I don't know what the percentage is, whether it's 5 or 10 or if it's 20%, but even if it's that, the core of it is here. And for us, it's about reaching out and connecting with people. We're, as a small winery, we're less than 1% of the total wine that's made in Napa Valley. And we'd like to think we're close to the top 1%.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I think it's important to share what we do with people, to know that they can come and have these experiences. And we often say that, we don't submit the wines for scores presently. And it's really about not so much having a 100-point score, it's about having a 100-point experience at the winery to welcome people in, to connect with them, to get them a chance to really try these wines and see why they're special.
You do have a 100-point experience. I would say you get up there, you're driving up, and it depending on the year, if it's fall or summer, it's always beautiful, right?
Yes.
Then you get there and you see the gate, and then this big gate just opens up, and you just feel like you know what the first thing I thought about when I got there? I'm about to age myself again. Remember the show Dallas?
Oh, yes.
You remember it had that mansion and the gate would open up on the mansion. I was like, man, this is like Dallas. It was like a soap opera I watched when I was growing up, right? And so, yeah, you go in and then you come up and you see the big cave and you see the vineyard and you're just in awe, right? And I just love that about the place. And one of the things now that we're sitting down, I was thinking about was there any redesigning that you did when you guys acquired it? Was it more or less like what it is now when you got it? What did you guys do? How did you guys change it up to meet the standard that you guys have?
Oh boy, we had a lot of things to work on. It was very much a shell.
Okay.
Our winery is a rammed earth building. Mm-hmm. And it was just a matter of how do we kind of put it all together. The thing about our winery is that unlike other wineries that have a tasting room that's separate from the winery, we're a working winery. So if you're a guest, you're going to walk through the winery as well as even the caves, and they're pulling hoses and they're emptying barrels and they're cleaning and they're doing things. You're kind of in the middle of all of it. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm experiencing it live. And then somebody hands you a glass and we pour you a glass of wine and you get to kind of see it and experience it. You walk upstairs to our winery, we redid all of our tasting rooms. And I just kind of paused for a second and kind of laughed a little bit because I was thinking, we're now in the process, because it's 22 years, it's time for a next iteration of redesign. Yeah, so we'll be redesigning our 2 tasting rooms, and we're going to be rebuilding the deck tasting room that we had on the side of the property overlooking all of the vineyards that unfortunately during the fires of 2020, the glass fire, that we lost that. Okay. So we finally, after 3 years, got our permits going, and that'll be taking place. But, be able to have that walking path, that was new, that wasn't there. We kind of carved that out of the side of the mountain to kind of get it so people could really see. And then obviously to kind of finish off what was a silver mine that we made into a wine cave. Don't ask why, it's just the way it all worked. And you were part of that, where you got a chance to see the big oak doors on the other side. And that kind of leads you into the wonderland that is our backyard.
And did the fire catch you any of your vineyards when it happened, or did it?
We were really lucky. The fire happened on the day that we were celebrating my birthday with my son and his girlfriend and our future son-in-law. And so the boys were both there. There's 3 ways to get off our property back off the mountain. So we had confidence that we wouldn't get firestormed in. Wow. So we stayed to help the firefighters, save the property. Wow. And Susan, we had a 9-week project to improve trails and roads around the perimeter of the property. And Susan had suggested that we should probably put a gravel road all the way around the perimeter. So if we ever needed a fire truck to get in, it could get in. And they finished that project 2 weeks before the glass fire. Wow! So without that wouldn't have been the fire break.
Be able to access.
They wouldn't have tried to save our property. They'd have gone to the city line of St. Helena and saved it there. And instead, because of that road that she suggested, we were able to save the property.
Wow! I know that was a scary time for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just wineries and just residents alike.
I think, but it comes back to the question you had originally asked. It's about, where are things now with the economy and the wine business? And if you think about the fires that have happened, like, it seemed like from 17, 18, there was always people started calling it fire season instead of harvest season. I'm like, oh no, time out, don't call it that.
That's true. Yeah.
Right? And then 2020 with the glass fire that sadly ripped really through the opposite side of the valley. And we were watching it, and the fire retardant planes and everything coming down. And then the next thing we knew the winds were so strong, blew it over to the Spring Mountain side. And then we've been doing kind of all the rebuilding on the mountain. We were very fortunate because the vineyards didn't get touched, which were great. But, the forests around it have look a little ragged still. We're still working on it. Every year we plant about 100 new trees, little seedlings and saplings up in between what was forest, just to kind of bring it back. But I think about what the valley has been through literally since 17. Mm-hmm. And then with the way that the economy is, and then people aren't really quite sure with how politics have been. Yeah. That's been a roller coaster alone. Yeah. He graduated in poli-sci. I remember I'm an advertising graphic design major. I don't usually play in that world, but it's kind of hard to stay out of it these days, even if you wanted to, because you get pulled in. But I think about all of that and then how that's affected people's first jobs or their ability to, even when they graduated from high school or college, they couldn't even walk with their class because of COVID. Yeah. That alone for a couple of years really took things down. And I think we're really just starting to see life kind of get breathed on back.
The other side of it.
Yeah. And so I feel like this harvest was that way for us. We kind of just started to see things open up. People were excited about taking another trip, and then I'm going to go to Napa. I've always wanted to go, and I've been afraid of the fires, or I really wasn't sure. I wasn't into wine, or I didn't drink wine, and maybe I want to try it. Yeah. So I think that this is the beginning of some really good things. So I'm thinking 25 is going to be that kind of jumping point.
I agree with you. I'm right there with you. So we talked about wine. So for the people who are watching it, these are some really good-looking, in-shape people. If anyone follows your Instagram, you are working out. You're dressing. You're about the luxury, the wonderful life, I call it. And you as well, but you're just not as good-looking as her. Right?
That's a tough standard.
You too.
I'm just trying to stay in the same zip code. That's all I care about.
But so you're in the fitness journey?
Yes.
How is that for you? When did you get into that? Are you in it as well, or is it like your baby, or is it both of you guys collectively?
You're gonna let me answer?
Oh, of course.
I get to talk? Okay. It's been a journey for me where I literally, when we bought our place in Napa, I just said to myself, this is going to be a time where, moving from Minnesota, I am going to not just invest my lunches to be able to go work out. I'm actually going to spend a good hour and a half, 6 days a week in the gym, and I'm going to really start working at improving my health. I have a condition some people call lupus. Okay. And so that's always been a little bit challenging for me. And so I've tried to find ways that I can kind of work through it to feel better. And I have found that through my fitness journey, I kind of started in yoga just to kind of keep everything all stretched out and supple. And then got into Pilates, and then from Pilates went into weightlifting and loved weightlifting. But in my journey, I was working with a strength coach, and he looked at me and he's like, you really should compete. I go, what are you talking about? I go, I'm going to be 45 years old. I'm a little old to be competing now against all these, other people. And he goes, no. There's divisions that you can start and try it. So I worked out and went ahead and did it. I went up and competed, and in my first show, I think I third place. Yeah.
Third place.
And I was and I thought, wow, that's not too bad for an old girl like me. So maybe I'll keep going at it and see what happens. So then 3 months later, I went to the NPC League and competed. And I really didn't even know what I was doing because their stage presence is different. And I competed again and got third place. And I was like, wow. But then I qualified for nationals, and I was like, oh, I could go to nationals? Let's try and see. So I started competing, and I was competing multiple shows a year.
It started taking a life of its own.
It really did. And I learned more about my health and about food and nutrition. And so then I went out and said, well, gosh, I need to learn this for myself. Maybe I can help other people. And so I went out and got my certificate from the National Association of our National Academy of Sports Medicine. Okay. So as a certified personal trainer. So I'm a certified personal trainer too. Okay. And I just still, fitness is my thing. And so my husband works out with me 3 days a week, which is great. We have an outdoor gym. I used to be at Solage for a while, and Duane knows anywhere I stay, it has to have a good gym in the hotel. That's like my big thing. I have to have it. And it's kind of, some people are addicted to other things, but for me, that feeling you get, being able to just go there and try and be a better person and to feel better, I think it's just really been good. And I'm lucky. It looks good too, so that makes it even better, right?
Hey, and I mean, like, even when I watch you, like, you have the fashion part. You're a fashionista, so you're like wearing the clothes. It's just this whole thing. It is inspiring. I'm not gonna lie, because truthfully, because you see a lot of people. We get caught up in the routine of life, and we it's easy to let ourselves go. So I don't. It's more of an encouraging to say, no, you got to keep pushing. Yeah, we're all old and we're tired and we're all, kids and whatever life is for your challenges. Right. But then, like, I didn't know you dealt with the lupus thing. So that's a challenge that a lot of people don't have, but we all have excuses, right? So you just got to eliminate the excuses and just kind of go after it. You
just said it. You have to eliminate the excuses. Because the thing is I go in, I don't dread going into the gym. Mm-hmm. I look at it as what a gem of an opportunity. I get actually some headspace with myself. Mm-hmm. So as I'm going in and learning and improving in the gym, I also am taking the time where, you're thinking about things, or you're appreciating what's around you. Like for me, because we have an outdoor gym, some bird will start squawking or doing whatever. You're like, what's going on? Or you'll see all of the roses in the property, and you get a chance to just have a moment and enjoy where you are in life. And I look at it as an opportunity to, when I feel better, I can do more for other people. Because if you can't help yourself first, how are you going to help other people? So that's just kind of how I've looked at it. And for me, it's been kind of a sticking point where people are like, oh, but if you're into fitness, how can you be into wine? And I said,
easy.
What? You are on.
Here, let me show you.
Right.
Exactly. It is easy, because that's why we work out as hard as we do.
Yeah,
so
you have to.
Yeah, so we can take a moment. I don't feel guilty the least if I have a really nice meal and a good glass of wine, because isn't that what life's about? We're not promised our days here. So we want to make the best of what we can and lead by example. So it's cute, because when our granddaughter comes to visit, the first thing she does is she runs into the outdoor gym and she's like, Gigi, where are you? And then she wants to walk through exercises with me, which I think is so cute. She's only 3, right?
But I planted that seed early. Yeah.
And so they love to do that. They're on the mats doing their thing. And I'm like, wow, okay, this is a good thing. And it's kind of fun too, because people will come and visit and they're like, hey, can I come out and work out with you? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And that's fun too.
There might be like a wine workout kind of program. Right. A paid membership.
Yeah, there you go.
Wine later.
Yeah.
So just last few questions here. You guys been married for a long time. You've been in business. I've heard people say, if you want a marriage to last, don't work with your spouse, right? But obviously you guys made it. I'm not saying it was easy.
Okay, you recognize that. That's important.
I know it's not easy. I mean, listen, being with marriage is not easy at all. Relationships are human beings. We're just not easy.
Yeah.
No, I just tell people, people are messy.
The capacity of having to deal with someone for a long time is just not easy, no matter who it is, right? But what will be some, tips or some things to leave viewers to walk away and say, hey, these are some key points that we've learned in our marriage, that have helped us sustain it and also enjoy it, right? Because I think that's the other side of it. You kind of want to enjoy the marriage. It's not, I don't want to just be here and I'm only here for the kids. I'm only here because we're too rich to break up, or we're too poor to break up, or whatever. Right?
That makes me so sad. Yeah. But you're absolutely right. Where don't you just love when you're with people, you and your wife, and you're another couple, and you can tell that they love each other and they're kind to each other, and they're actually really fun. They kind of play off each other when they're talking. You're like, I want to hang out with those guys again.
Yeah.
And I think that when Duane and I look back on our history, I've been so fortunate because I tend to be a very formal personality. And I married someone who makes me laugh and who really enjoys kind of making light of a lot of things that sometimes can be really heavy and looking at some of those brighter sides.
I think that's my gift too. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, you kind of have that yin and that yang and vice versa, where Duane sometimes tends to, he's off running, doing his thing. And I'm like, hey buddy, we gotta we got to maybe pay attention to this and kind of get back.
She's my details person.
In the lane.
It's like the cane that yanks you back.
Yeah,
Get back over here.
One of our friends said, Duane winds you down and you wind him up. So it's kind of one of those things where we really are fortunate enough to work together. But yeah, 37 years of marriage doesn't happen by accident. And as anything, there's ups and downs.
Yeah, I think as young people, we were both very ambitious. We really wanted to have these impactful careers, and we wanted to have a family. And so you're trying to do all these things simultaneously. And what it really required was, and this is the great gift of how Susan's wired, is that she would give of her time. She would sacrifice an important meeting she should have been at to allow me to go to a meeting I couldn't miss. And the other way around as well. And so, when somebody's that invested in you and invested in your success, you're kind of on the same team. I always say there's a castle and we're inside the castle defending outward, not one of us is inside and the other's outside. So don't build a wall between me and you. The wall is around us. And, we just, I think we're good at that. And then as time goes on, you learn to respect and understand what your partner is really good at. And so, you really lean in on those things. I'm very optimistic. She'll read the room and read more of the reality in the room. So did you realize what this person said? And they're hedging, and I'm not sure that they're going to be able to do everything they need to do. A friend of ours from Hawaii's got a great phrase for this. Some people are arm's length aloha. They don't get the full hug. They get
Arms like aloha.
They get the touch the shoulder hug.
You're with them, but there's something there that's like.
Well, I'm assuming we got to be a little closer because you guys came and sat and talked to me today. So thank you. That was wonderful advice. My other question is, you guys have been successful in business. So what would be just some tips to give people who are in business? Like for me, a lot of people, I'm not in the traditional route where I graduated from college and I went to corporate. I was a young teenage father. I kind of went through that path, right?
Yeah.
But now I'm in this space now where I'm growing and I'm doing this podcast. And of course, podcast is not just us talking. It is a business.
Yeah.
But what are some business mindset or some business tools that you would leave with people who are either they're young, college, fresh out of college, or maybe even older and starting some things, or just have aspirations to be an entrepreneur?
Look for ways to make an impact. So there's two ways to approach a job. You can get into a job and be like, tell me what to do and I will do it. And then the other way is to come into a job, tell me what you're trying to accomplish and I'll help you accomplish it.
That's so good.
And there's a massive difference. There's a massive difference. You want somebody anyone who thinks that way and puts themselves into the position of trying to add value and make things better, they can be on my team any day. And what's going to happen is there'll be a crisis at a business. You'll have something really important you need to solve, move through quickly, and you're going to turn around and look at your team and you're going to ask yourself who can do that. And it's the person who thinks about themselves in terms of how can I help you accomplish what you're trying to accomplish.
Wow.
Yeah, be a good team member. But the other thing is know who you are and give yourself some credit. I think there's a lot of people who are like, oh, well, this was my card that I was dealt, and this is really all I'm good at, and I'm good on a team, but I'm really not a leader. But I think everybody can be entrepreneurial, and I think everyone actually can be a leader. If you were able to kind of identify what's your magic, what is that, and then take it and use it, and help yourself help others. You'd be surprised what you kind of send out into the atmosphere that actually kind of comes back to you. I have seen it over and over again, just being able to work with successful teams. You'll get someone who's maybe kind of shy, who's really an incredible writer, but they're just really not sure about presenting an idea. And I kind of would take them around the corner and say, hey, I noticed you were going to say something, but you didn't in the meeting. What are you thinking? Oh, I've got this really great idea, and I was thinking that maybe we should do this or that. And I'm like, well, why don't you start? And then let's try and put something together and let's see what happens. And they're like, really?
Yeah.
Sometimes
they just don't have the confidence.
That's right. They just don't have the confidence. But it's like once they get that little kernel of confidence, you'd be surprised at how people bloom. And I love that. I love to see all that happen. And I think there are a lot of people that are capable of that. But again, they're kind of quiet, they're shy, or someone said something to them that hurt their feelings or made them not feel as important as they are, and that just sunk in. And you kind of got to let that go. Yeah. And especially in today's society where in social media, you don't even know who some of these people are. They're making comments and you're like...
Some of them are not even people.
No.
Never read the comments.
Yeah, never read the comments. I think Joe Rogan says that. He's like, Well, and that's the way it is with life too. And I said, so you just kind of have to have confidence in yourself and take that magic and really let it bloom. Invest in it, make it happen. You'll go places. I think that's a big thing that a lot of people don't think about because they always think someone's better at it. Well, someone's better at it than I am. Why should I do it? Yeah, there might be, but you might want it more, and you might actually be better at it. But you got to try. And I just find even with workouts, some people just never get out of the gate. Sometimes it's just opening the door to go to the car to get to the gym. It's like, oh, I don't feel good, or oh, I forgot my drink, or whatever. Yeah. They make up these excuses, and the only person you're hurting is yourself. So I'm a big proponent for just go out and say you can do it, because you probably can. Wow,
that's amazing. Well, I know I'm on the right path because I got people like you talking to me, sitting on my couch. I just want to say that I am very, very thankful that you guys came today. It's an honor to have you. You guys have added so much value to Napa Valley, and I'm pretty sure anybody who comes across you should feel the same way. And thank you. Thank you for sitting on Meet Me in Napa podcast. And this is what I want to do. I want people to meet the people of the Valley and break down the barriers, the misconceptions that anyone has of Napa Valley.
We love what you do. I think a lot of people think that, in Napa, we all sit around in our tweed jackets and make sure our pinkies are extended while we're drinking the wine. And, it is a working community. It's a farm community. And, you're showing people a lot of joy and a lot of the positivity of what's here. So thank you for that.
Yeah, Jeremy, thank you for inviting us. This is such an honor for us to be here. And we love to talk about wine and the Valley. And it's also a treat just to talk a little bit about, who we are and how we grew up. About you. Okay. Oh, it's always about you, sweetheart.
Now you're talking.
Again, see, this is his 37 years of marriage.
And he only started working out because he wasn't going to let you go to the gym by yourself.
That's all. That's the whole thing.
I know how that works.
Yeah. Got to protect my investment.
Yeah, cheers to that again, huh?
All right, I got to get on this. Cheers, everybody.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys for watching Meet Me in Napa. We're going to bring you some more exciting people, guests, great conversations, and we love you. Thank you for the support, and we'll see you on the next episode. And go get Fantesca. It's wonderful wine and some of the best I've had in the Valley. And I'm not just saying that because they're sitting right here. I have some in my wine fridge too. So thank you guys. We'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.